You don't need to be good at game development to start making games. You just need to begin. Indie games in 2026 are getting easier and easier to create. So I just want to talk a little bit about my prototyping process and a little bit about how I create games and sort of test out ideas before I start making them. In this video, I want to talk about what I'm working on, the tools I use, and what you can do to start up your game development journey. We're going to be building a small prototype today where you'll be walking around a little scene. This is less of a tutorial and more of a start to your game development journey. So the tools I use for making games: Unity, Maya, and Substance. These are just the tools that I use, but you could use something like Unreal Engine, Godot, Blender, but personally I prefer to use these three. So right now I'm into my 13th month creating the Calcium Crusader 64. For my indie game, the Calcium Crusader 64, it didn't just start as a fully working game. I developed many prototypes to test out ideas to see what could work. So I've made a lot of prototypes in the past. Some worked, some didn't. Most of them never became full games. But every prototype taught me something about mechanics, about pacing, about art, and what doesn't work. Prototyping is the perfect way to test out an idea to see if it could blossom into a fully fledged game. What's the best thing about prototyping is there's no pressure if the game doesn't work. It's just a small idea to make it working in engine. So we're going to jump into Unity, and I'm not trying to make a full game here. I just want to create a small world and something you can walk around in. Let's create this small world. So in Substance, I've created a few different materials which we're going to take into Unity and use on Unity's terrain. And there we go, just by adding a few different elements, the world is already coming alive. And this is how most of my projects start. Just blocking out simple ideas and putting a controller in the actual game. I'll use Unity's terrain tools to shape something like a mountain, maybe a path, adding foliage too. Once I've got the basic idea of the map laid out, I then jump into Substance to get some ideas of what the materials could be. Because I'm going for that retro style, I'm going for a low res texture design for my materials. The good thing about retro textures is it doesn't have to look perfect because everything's going to be obviously downscaled. So that's also quite a nice way of testing out ideas quite quickly. So as you can see now, this is what game development for me looks like. When I'm prototyping an idea, it doesn't have to be a finished product, just ideas that slowly become playable. And as you can see, that this little bit of terrain that I started with now feels like, well, it feels like Windows XP right now. But as you can see, the world is already coming alive. So that is how I start prototyping ideas in Unity. So you don't need permission to start making a prototype. You don't need to use the perfect engine. You just need to make something and then make it playable. For me, game jams are a great way to test out ideas in a small timescale. Get to test out an idea, you get a theme for a game jam, and play around with different gameplay ideas. So if you want to start making games in 2026, start small. Make weird prototypes, build your tiny world. That's how the Calcium Crusader started. That's how this prototype started. And that's probably how your game will start too. If this video has helped you out in any way, maybe encouraged you to create a game yourself, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to see your games in action. Fingers crossed you do start making your dream game, and eventually I'll be able to buy it on wherever you end up selling it. Good luck on your game dev journey if you choose to start it. If not, I hope you've enjoyed just watching me create a small prototype. If you want to support me as a game developer, I've got a Patreon page where I showcase behind the scenes development of the Calcium Crusader 64 and some other stuff of just like random little prototypes, just like this one that I haven't really shown online. So if you are interested in supporting me, head over to my Patreon, which will be in the description. I actually looked down. Maybe it is down there. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.